Satyam Param Dhimai. Om Satyam Param Dhimai. Om Satyam Param Dhimai. Om Satyam Param Dhimai. Om Satyam Param Dhimai.
What is a mood? Supposing I say I am not in the mood to come for the movie. What is a mood?
State of mind.
State of mind. Is it a deep state of mind or is it a superficial state of mind? It may be a very beautiful day, but if I am not in the mood, then I can't enjoy it. The first thing which the Guru teaches the disciple is how to observe his own mood. Because that is the most superficial layer of the mind, which keeps on changing. So, we need a point in our consciousness where we can observe our own moods. At present, we are slaves to our moods. And our mood changes just by somebody does something outside. Somebody forgets to give us tea or something, our mood will change. So, if we really value freedom, we want to move on that path of freedom, then the first thing we have to be free of is our moods. And moods, just like in this room there's light, but there may be a room nearby which is dark. Similarly, inside, it's a house with many, many rooms. And in one room it's dark, and one room it's light, and my mood keeps on changing. We're hypnotized by our moods. We are submerged by our moods. So, can we make our moods objective? Because today we are going to talk about virha. But when we talk about virha, it is just a mood. And when we are talking about Radha, it is not a mood. It is a very, very deep state. But I may be in some romantic mood, so I may imagine that I am Radha or something. It happens. People come and they say, is my love like Radha's love? I know it's just a romantic dream, a mood. So today we want to talk about virha, but before that we must understand that it's very difficult for us to understand what we are going to talk about. We intellectually understand. But till we reach a state where we are free of our moods, a part of our consciousness can separate from the mood. Initially a part will be in the mood and a part will be separate from the mood. And we'll have this kind of two-tone feeling where we know that the mood cannot control us and again it controls us. This will change our relationship to our inner world. We have no relationship with our inner world. We don't even know that we have an inner world. So this beginning of separation, where we try to make the mood from subjective to something objective. It is not happening to me, it is happening to it. And I am watching it. I am separate from it. The mood cannot control me. I can move from a room which is dark into a room which is full of light. And once we move, we separate from the mood and we look at the mood, it is like a dark cloud. The Theosophists, they divided the levels of consciousness into different bodies. The physical body, the etheric body, the astral body, the mental body, the causal body, divided into so many bodies. And they used to have a science of all this. I don't know if you've heard of the Theosophy. Theosophy was started by Madame Blavatsky somewhere in the late 1880s. So, when we move in, the first thing she talks about is the etheric body. It is like a cloud. It doesn't allow us to see within ourselves, as if it's blocking everything. In dreams, the dream body which experiences the dream is this etheric body. And it is this body which takes the shape, takes certain shapes, and that is why we get into different moods all the time. So it's not very difficult. So the next time we are in a mood, just say inside, I don't want to be a victim of this mood. I'm not a slave of my moods. And I can rise above the mood. I can observe the mood like I'm observing some fog inside, a dark cloud inside of me. I can observe that mood. So virha, which we are going to talk about today, the pain of separation. We run away from it all the time. We don't realize when there is pain in our lives, pain of separation in our lives, that this can really, something divine can come out of it. It can change a lot for us. We don't use it. So there is one that I am separate from my lover, I am separate from my son, I am separate from my daughter, and there is this pain of separation. And there are many kinds of separation. We just try to review a few of them. This pain we are trying to transform into separation from the whole, where the part has separated from the whole and wants to merge back into the whole. If we fall in that pain, then we move into our lower psychic nature. There is complaining that he or she is doing this and he didn't fulfill his promise, etc., etc. Then we've lost it. So we have to understand the value of this pain of separation. It doesn't come so easily. Now, when someone is not there, it could be anything. It could be our lover, it could be a son, or husband, or wife, whatever. There is this absence. The absence is of many kinds. Supposing I feel the absence of money. I have never earned any money and I feel the absence of money. That is of one kind. But one day I had a lot of money and I lost all of it. So that absence is of another kind. See, so absences are of different kinds and they each have a different kind of taste. The son may be abroad, studying abroad somewhere, and there is a feeling of absence. It's a different kind of absence. Somebody may have died in an accident, there is a different kind of absence. So this absence is called as abhav. The absence of presence. Today all of us are in a state of abhav. There is nothing, there is no presence in us. There is no presence in us. Sitting here, we are not present. So within us there is an absence, a state of abhav. Patanjali has a sutra, abhav pratyay alamban vritti nindra. What is sleep? There is absence and there is hypnosis to that absence. I can't stay with that absence. I complain about that absence. That absence leads to depression. That absence leads to negative states. Abhav pratyay alamban vritti nindra. This vritti where we become alamban, we hug the absence. Alamban means to hug. Where we hug the absence. That state of mind he calls as nindra, sleep. And we are in sleep all the time because there is no presence within us. And this presence starts with the beginning, the beginning of presence starts with the observation of moods. Because moods are the most superficial layer of the mind. So we have to work on our moods. Now the cause of absence could lie anywhere. We are not interested in that. But we have this feeling of pain inside, this pain of separation, and we want to use it. Love is a gift. Don't waste it. Life will automatically offer us so many situations where there's a feeling of absence. It doesn't have to be this deep love of Radha Krishna. We don't want to go into that romantic imagination. It just may be a small thing. My wife may have said that she's coming in an hour and now it's 1.5 hours. Now there's the feeling of absence. Can we start using it? He said he'll meet me for a movie, but he's not come. Feeling of absence. Can we use it? Don't complain. If we complain, we are gone. We lost it. Then we'll understand the whole process which Radha went through. So, these states of vira are gifts. We don't use them as gifts. We throw them away. Now, in Natya Shastra, they talk about 8 states of vira in dances. So they have different mudras for those 8 states of vira. And these have come out of the Ras Leela of Radha and Krishna. The first is where Radha is dressed up. She is wearing all her ornaments. And she is waiting for Krishna to come. And there is this feeling of eagerness, waiting for the lover to come. And she is not complaining. If we are there, we complain. It's this time, he's not yet come. He must be wasting his time somewhere else or something. Right? But she is not complaining. She is in this deep sensitivity, this eagerness that he is going to come. It's a kind of inner alertness, a kind of inner softness with expectancy. She's completely alert, completely attentive, but not the military attention, stand to attention or something like that. There's a deep softness about it. So the first one is she's dressed and waiting for him. The second one is she is in a state of distress. It's called utkantita. Kant means the throat. Now she's crying out, lamenting. She's expressing her vira. She's trying to remember him. Some way he has said something to insult her. Now the feeling is different. He has said something which has hurt her. And the pain is coming through up to the throat. And again, there's a feeling of virha, sensitivity. Then there's a time when she's swadhin, when she's totally in control of the situation. Krishna has not come, but she knows he is definitely going to come. She controls him, like a wife controls the husband totally. She knows from inside, this husband can't go anywhere. He has to come. But still there is, even in that deep control, that deep feeling of power, there is a feeling that he has not yet come. Now this is a different kind of feeling. These are different shades of the inner feeling of virha. And in that Ras, it is said at many times that Radha commands Krishna that you please do my makeup again, do it properly. My makeup is, because maybe they've hugged each other. She's self-dependent. So there is Viyog, but in that Viyog she's definite that he can't go out of this circle of mine. Then there is another state in which there is conflict. There is deep inner conflict. There is inner struggle. In Natya Shastra, this is called as Kalhantarika. Kal means conflict, Kalahal, conflict, a struggle. And she's quarreled with him. There's been a quarrel. He's gone away somewhere. Now she's feeling, in one part she's feeling the arrogance of the quarrel. And another part she's feeling jealous. And another part she's feeling virha. All these things are passing through her mind at the same time. She has maybe told him something in her arrogance. And because of that he's turned his face away and gone away. Now, we talked about jealousy. Can you just see what we talked about over here? The struggle between that which is real and that which is false within us. If I give in to the jealousy, what will become strong? The false will become strong. But if I use that jealousy for transformation, then the essence becomes powerful. The essence grows. Struggle is the best food for the essence. Don't run away from struggle. So you feel inside that maybe I've told him something, but I gave it to him properly. All these feelings are going on inside. And at the same time there's a feeling of jealousy, there's a feeling of quarrel. You're feeling disheartened inside. And use that. Actually, all these states are for growth of the essence. The essence grows, the essential in us grows. But if I start complaining, if I start giving in to the jealousy, where were you? Why didn't you come at this time? What were you doing? Show me your mobile phone. Who sent you an SMS? No, I get quarrels over SMS also. Who sent the SMS? Then we wasted good food for the essence. Good food for growth we wasted. In the stock market we are saying that you throw good money behind bad money. Right? Same thing, we've thrown good money behind bad money. Now, in these states, from arrogance to repentance, to jealousy, there will be a feeling of repentance. Now, in this struggle, this feeling of repentance, what do we want to see that it does not become? When we start repenting is good fire inside. It's really very, very powerful fire. But what do we see that it should, what is the negative outcome of repentance? Which shouldn't happen. We shouldn't allow our repentance to follow this path. What is the negative outcome of repentance? Guilt. Guilt. Does the same thing happen between the guru and the disciple? Does the same thing happen? The guru is there only for a certain amount of time. And the disciple, in the old days they would live, but now the disciple cannot live with the guru all the time. But it comes to nearly that. And then the guru is only available for so much time. And the disciple has to see that when the guru is not there, he may feel that I forgot to ask him this and I forgot to ask him this. And he has to see that it does not move into guilt. The guru may have told him so many things, that you do this, you do that. Right? But at that time, the disciple is also a victim of inertia. He may feel that he can do, but it's very difficult. Very difficult. Working with a guru is very difficult. So, later on when the guru is not there, you may feel that, he told me to do this and I didn't do that. And he told me to do this and I didn't do that. But we have to turn that repentance into an inner fire. An inner remorse. And that remorse brings transformation inside. So she's sick at heart, she's repentant, but she has to see that it does not move into guilt. And of course then there is this play between Radha and Krishna, because Krishna will come back and try to pacify her. And she doesn't want to be pacified. She refuses advances.
Sorry, Rajan, at what point, when you're feeling guilt because of from that repentance, then you say you need to transform it to that
remorse.
Remorse, right?
Remorse.
How can you just switch that, which you feel, that emotion of the guilt, because it's a state of mind,
right,
and it's an emotion that you subjecting yourself to, then you're needing to switch that. And
so tell me, what is the basic thought of guilt? Which thought accompanies guilt? Which thought accompanies guilt? I have done something wrong. I have done something wrong. And it is this which is eating me up inside. Eating me up inside. And there we have to just do a little bit of meditation. Meditation, what we call, there's no exact English word for it, chintan. In guilt there is chinta. I can't translate these words exactly, worry and meditation, it doesn't work. But in guilt there is chinta. In remorse there is chintan. Contemplation. Meditation. Right? So, supposing somebody's young son dies. This happens. It happens. Many people it has happened. Right? And there is guilt. There is guilt. I could have done this for him, or I could have done that for him. We want to change that into remorse. How do we do it? How do we do it? How do we change it into remorse?
positive and see what you've done. Aware.
No, we have to change our thoughts. No? We have to change our thoughts. For that you need consciousness. There has to be a conscious effort. Without a conscious effort, it just cannot automatically. No guru can wave a magic wand and right? He can give you food, medicine for thought. And we use that to move. And there will be a movement where we'll go back to guilt, come to remorse, go back to guilt, come to remorse. And at one point we'll realize the uselessness of guilt.
It is the awareness.
It is awareness and conscious effort. There is an effort involved. Right? Now, where does contemplation, what he calls, or meditation or chintan come into this? What kind of chintan can I do? What kind can I do? Whatever happens is the fact. Whatever ever happens is the fact. Fact is not reality. We cannot see reality. Death came to him is a fact. Death came to him is not a reality. Reality lies somewhere else. That reality we don't even have eyes to see. Krishna is telling Arjuna, I have already killed them. That is the reality. I have already killed them. Now you have to only deliver the fact to their home by sending the arrow. This is very difficult to understand. They've already died. But they're still alive, but they've already died. Now you go and deliver the fact to their home. We don't see reality, we only see the fact. And even we don't see the fact because we are daydreaming. We are brooding. I could have done this and I could have done that. So we need to use meditation, chintan. Right? Okay. He has died, it is a fact. It is a fact. I cannot change the fact. Whatever happened between him and me is a fact. Whether I could have or could not, I don't know. Why I don't know? Because I don't see the reality of why this fact came to meet him and why that fact came to meet me. It is beyond my seeing, beyond my level of perception. You get what I'm trying to say? Every event that happens in life, if we can see the fact, we can only see 1/9 of the cause. And the other 8 causes are totally invisible to us. On that 1/9 we base all our reasoning or whatever we want to. That he is good and she is bad and he is this and she is that. We can't see that other. We don't know why 2 people have met, why 2 people have separated, why somebody had an accident, why somebody lost his money, why somebody gained his money. We don't know. We only see the fact. And the beauty is that we can't stay with the fact for a single moment. Few moments we are here and again we are wandering somewhere else. Again few moments we are here, we are wandering somewhere else. Even sitting here, we can't be here, we are wandering all the time. So, we don't even have the capacity to remain with the fact. Reality is very, very far away. Truth is very far away. So, if there is acceptance of the fact, there can be no guilt. There will be pain, there will be fire, but now that pain and fire will follow a different direction. Yeah.
Just a quick thing.
Yeah.
This thing about the reality and the fact can that be explained, or rather, can one use that analogy with the 8 celestials, for example, Bhishma and the other 7 celestials? Because the fact is that they were killed, but the reality was something else. Is that how one can understand it?
Yeah, it is there in that whole story of the Vasus. Bhishma was one of the Vasus. He was the... Now there, if you see the fact is that Ganga was drowning the children in the Ganges. Right? Whose children? Hers and the king's. Right? Shantanu. So this is the fact. Now looking at the fact, we'll feel pain. We'll be what kind of mother she is. She's drowning her own children in the Ganges. She's so cruel, she's so merciless, etc., etc., we'll say. And that is what her husband felt. But these children were originally Vasus. And they wanted to escape the suffering of the mortal world. That is why they wanted her to. And it was a pact with her that we'll take birth as your children, you drown us immediately, so we don't have to live in the world of men and suffer. Because where we live, there is no suffering.
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say?
Now, just taking it from there, you will say then that after the fact, acceptance is the correct mental state then, or not? The acceptance of that.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult. But that is the correct mental state. Supposing I have a plot of land and somebody takes away the plot of land by some devious means, right? Okay. What do I do? What do I do? Tell me. It happens to all of us. I'm not talking land is just something it could be even my right? Okay, what do I do? See, to walk on the path of spirituality is very difficult, very, very difficult. Because the whole first move starts with acceptance of the fact. This land is at present already his. That is the fact. Can I accept the fact? Can I accept it? Have to is not acceptance. રામ રાખે એમ જીવવું, પ્રેમથી જીવવું અને રામ રાખે એમ જપ મારીને જીવવું right? Acceptance is not have to. You see, every moment we have facts in front of us. Can we accept the fact? My son is not listening to me. My daughter is not listening to me. I am doing it for his good. But he or she is not listening to me. He is not interested in his good. Whatever definition of good I have. Whatever definition of good I have. Right? So, what do I do? Where does transformation start? The first transformation starts, I accept this is what he is. And what he is the outcome of so many different conditions. All those go to make up reality, which I cannot see. I cannot see. When he was in the womb, I may have fought with my husband. And there may have been giving and taking of a few words. And I don't know how that has penetrated into the womb and now he's not listening to me. We don't know. But this is the fact. And if we really one day want to see reality, then we have to accept the fact. And acceptance of fact is painful. It's always painful. But we have all these...
Sorry, acceptance of fact and dealing with the fact, is it more or less the same?
Fact. Dealing can only come if there is acceptance. Otherwise you are fighting with it. Most of the time we are fighting. It has already happened, we don't want it to happen. It's in some dream world we live. We'll just go a little deeper into this now that we have touched upon this. Yes, please.
The example of the child who died. I'm just trying to wrap my head around the distinction between guilt and remorse in that situation. The guilt will be avoided by accepting the fact of the death. But how does remorse fit into that?
There is pain. There is pain. If today something happens to my son, there's going to be pain. Right?
But is some part of your pain not associated with guilt?
In guilt, something is eating me. Try to just see the fine line between the two. In guilt, there is if only. In remorse, there is no if only. I am just holding the pain and dissolving in the pain. There is no if only. If I had done this, then this would have happened. If I had done that, then this would have happened. No. There is no if only. In our lives, there is so much of if only. The minute if only comes in, there is no acceptance of the fact. And there is one of the things which the Guru tells the disciple right in the beginning, that once you are a disciple in your life, you get rid of these words, if only. You are not allowed to use them. If I had done this. There is pain on not doing it, use that pain, transform yourself. I'll tell you a real incident. It's very difficult, this guru-disciple relationship. The day my guru left the body, he phoned me in the morning. Okay, when are you coming? So I said, sir, I'm coming tomorrow. So you leave right now. You get what I'm trying to say? But sir, I have a ticket to come tomorrow. He's telling me, you come right now. I said, but sir, I cannot come now. I'll get no transport. You are in Sangli, I'm in Bombay. Next morning I got the news that he was no more. What do I do? Do I feel guilt or do I feel remorse? Did he do it on purpose? He knew. If he could see 200 lifetimes, he knew I was not going to come. Did he do it on purpose? This is the first time I'm sharing this with any group. Can you see the pain in this? Right? No guilt, you're not allowed, because that is the whole training. You're not allowed to have any guilt. If this had happened, if this happened, this is the fact. Now use the fire of the fact for purification. And maybe he did it on purpose. Okay. So, I have never felt guilt. Never felt guilt about it. People tell me, my wife tells me, other people tell me, you did not go. It's the beautiful story of Jesus. He wants to pass on that highest elixir to his disciples, and he tells them, you just wait, I'm going on top of the mountain, praying, and I'll come back. But don't go to sleep. Now this is all very symbolic. All very symbolic. I'm just going. And he comes back and he finds them asleep. And he wanted to pass on something. Again he goes to the top of the mountain. He said, this time he gets angry. And that's the beauty of Jesus, because he can get angry. He's so normal, so beautiful. He was his one master who was here, walking on the same earth as his disciples. And he goes back and he prays again, oh Lord, let me pass on this cup that you have given to me. And he comes back and again they are sleeping. He again gets angry, again he goes to the top of the mountain. But the third time he comes back and they are still sleeping. And then he hears the footfalls of the soldiers in the distance. And he knows they have come to arrest him. And he says, before they arrest me, let me go and welcome them. But that put the remorse in that his chief disciple, Peter, that led to a state of remorse. And it is that remorse, that fire which brought about the transformation in Peter after Jesus left. So we see it from one angle because we can only see the fact and interpret the fact from where we are. But you're not allowed to have guilt. Guilt kills you. Then you go into a lower state of depression and you can never rise above it. You can never use the pain. The pain has to be used. Yeah, please go ahead.
Is your remorse then in that situation not about the fact that you didn't get there on time? Is your remorse then about his passing and you didn't get time to spend with him?
No, the remorse is...
Or does that not matter?
Remorse is of the pain of not going when he called. But there is no guilt if I had gone. You get what I'm trying to say? I'm not... It's very difficult to say in English, but in Gujarati we call man manawaine વાત નથી કરતો. શું કે I don't know what. નહીં, હું મારા મનને મનાવતો નથી કે if I had gone this would have happened. I'm not taking a consolation prize.
આશ્વાસન.
See, without fire there is no tap. There has to be a yagna. So, I wanted to go into this a little more.
I just want to say, ask something, is that if in a situation like that, if you're the subject of this occurrence, it is not so easy to see it. But if you can stand aside, you can. If a situation like this plays out in front of you at a third person position, it's easier to what shall I say, not accept, but the remorse, guilt issue is easier to understand than when you're the subject of the event.
See, in remorse there is no daydreaming. There is no inner consolation. I could have done this and I could have done that. There is just holding of the fact and dissolving into the fire of the fact. And that awakens something within, deep within our conscience, which we call as conscience, which in Patanjali calls as vivek. The truth can be seen, and that is, truth can be known, it can be seen, but before it is seen, it is felt. It is this remorse which leads to feeling of the truth. Without remorse, there cannot be feeling of the truth. Then knowing of the truth will happen much later, does not matter. But that inner feeling of the truth, that will happen with this fire. It will burn away all the impurities which come in the way of truth. I don't know if I'm coming across.
Isn't it better than to reconcile with the fact and move on? Reconcile with the fact and move on.
Yeah, if you reconcile with the fact, then you're not free of it. It's going to happen again. There must be acceptance of the fact and dissolving into the pain. The pain should not leave any residue whatsoever. You see, you try to understand, when I reconcile with something, then I have not accepted it. I have just made friends with it.
No, you reconcile with it by means that the fact is the fact. And it's the end of it. So you carry on.
Yeah, but then I'm dead inside. Life is full of juice. Life is full of juice. This is the fact. And this is the fact, it has come because of lack of awareness, lack of consciousness. And there is remorse for that lack of consciousness. And it is that remorse which leads to a state of higher consciousness. So that fact which happened in a state of darkness, now light comes into that state.
One can use the same example of the celestials again. That at the fact level, it looked like something. But once you understood the issue of the celestials and where they needed to go, that creates the light.
Yeah. It's a symbolic story.
Yes.
That eighth Vasu was Bhishma. Bhishma is our inner ego. Right? And for him to be born, 7 were drowned in the river. So every fact which we see in life, 7 is unseen and 1/8 is seen. This is the river of life. We cannot see that I was destined to say no and he was destined to ask me. We cannot see. Because the disciple needs remorse for his own transformation. You get what I'm saying? I don't know. It was his time to go and maybe the disciple was not ready. The only way for him to be ready is to put in some fire and go. Light the fire and go. I just wanted to go into this because we are talking about reality. Sometimes it can be very, very cruel. It can be very, very cruel. And it happens in life. Especially to parents. The daughter or the son may get into a relationship which later turns out to be a very cruel situation. Now, how do we look at fact and how do we look at reality? I had this girl who came to meet me once, and when she was 22, she was married and her husband was really abusing her like anything. And then she went back to her parents' home and the parents said, "You don't stay here, you go back to your husband." Now, she didn't know what to do, so one day she jumped off the 6th floor. She didn't die. And over a period of a year, she went through so many operations. And she's telling me, because my friend brought her to me, he says, "You just see this girl, I want to get married to this girl. If you say yes, I'll get married to this girl." So he brought her. I told my friend, "You go away, I want to talk to her alone. There's something in her which I have to find out." And I'm asking, "You tell me your story." And she's telling me her story. And she's saying that I went through these operations I had so many fractures. I don't know how I survived, but when I was in that deep state of pain in the hospital, one day the light just came. And I realized that everything that happened in my life was invited by my own soul. It was not my husband maltreating me. It was not my husband who was abusing me. I had asked him to abuse me. Can we accept this as reality? Can we accept this as reality? We only see the fact. We don't know. We don't know that before the soul takes on a physical body, it has asked for what it wants in life. It has asked for its own essence to grow. It wants that essence to grow. So it has asked for certain conditions, certain pain, certain happenings in life. And those happenings come in the form of different events. We say you are at fault and you are at fault. Why did you bring pain in my life? But that is not even accepting the fact, that is daydreaming. The fact is that maybe the husband has abused the wife, that is the fact. But the reality is that the soul asked, she wanted to be abused because it wanted to grow. So difficult to accept this. That every event which comes in our life has been invited by us. And unless that essence changes, the events of life can never change. They will just keep on repeating in different forms. The pain may take another form to come, but it will keep on repeating because the essence is the same. And if that essence changes, and the only way the essence can change is through rise in consciousness. Because that essence, that soul wants to be born and it wants to grow. And it wants to grow, for that it needs a certain amount of pain and suffering. And it invites that pain of suffering before birth. It is at 3-4 years that we form something called an ego. And the ego says, I don't want suffering. And it doesn't allow the suffering to go to the essence, because every time there is suffering in life, it is complaining. So nothing reaches.
So you should... Sorry.
How does one then actually understand this from the point of view of children being raped, young kids being raped and abused to a very cruel level?
That is what I said, that is why I didn't go into it, because life is very, very cruel. And when you see reality, it is very painful. It is very, very painful. Seeing of the truth is not one big bliss like everyone says, because then you see that what has happened in her life has only happened because of her invitation. And sometimes she had a thought somewhere, a deeply embedded thought, that I want so many men. Right.
How does one tie in what the soul asks for in order to grow with karma?
I mean, digressed completely today, but it doesn't matter.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry. Or is what the soul asks for to grow in part a consequence of your past life?
Forget the past life. Whatever was the past life is today. Where does that past life express itself? Where does it express itself? Forget the past life. Now, in this now, where is the past life expressed? All that I am, in my thoughts, in my feelings, in my reactions. See, one anger I have, is it a accumulation of everything that is within me?
I think it's I see where you're going to. It's, people normally say, Karela karam bhogve chutko.
conscious.
So I think that's what you are hammered with all your life.
Yeah, but that is a consolation prize. We don't want a consolation. In spirituality, there is no consolation prize. There is only one prize, the first prize. Do you want to be free of that, or you don't want to be free of that? If you don't want, then it will keep on repeating in different forms. She said one form is rape, it may come in another form of disease, or it may come in another form of something else. See, I am holding on to one thought over here. Right? That, just take it at a physical level, forget the karma, forget everything else. I am holding on to one thought over here, which is repeating. In a daytime, I am holding on to that thought, say 50 times, 100 times in a day, one thought over here, I am holding on to it. I am a victim of that thought. It is not something that is I am consciously doing, but it is mechanically I am hypnotized by that thought. Now, every time I have the thought, are certain chemicals being released in the body? Are certain hormonal disturbances happening in the body? Is certain tension accumulating in the muscles? Is something happening with the heartbeat? Is something happening with the blood? That one thought. And over a period of time, holding that thought, does it accumulate? And can it lead to a heart attack? Can it lead to high blood pressure? Can it lead to a stomach problem? Can it lead to arthritis? Can it lead... Simple. We don't have to go into karma. We don't have to go into karma. Just by holding, supposing I hold one thought that I want to cheat him, now somebody else I want to cheat her, and I want to cheat this person. So I'm always holding a thought of cheating someone. After 20 years, can it translate into joint pain? You get what I'm trying to say? It accumulates. Now this is accumulation at a very, very gross level. But at a subtle level also there is accumulation. Right? And I don't know, I can't see all that. I can't, even by holding this thought, what is happening in my body at this moment also I don't know. I don't know if I'm coming across in all this. You don't have to go to past lives. You don't have to go to past lives. There is the path, but there is no need to go. You just go into the now. Everything is there in this now.
But the question comes is when the person is suffering and like a woman being abused. Well, as far as we are concerned, she hasn't asked for it. So why does it come to her? Why is she going through that abuse? For what reason?
We don't know. Okay.
Because she will say, what did I do to deserve this?
You're true, very true. I mean, at the level of the fact, it's very, very cruel. It's very, very cruel. And I was, at that time watching this incident on TV all the time when it happened. And anyway, actually in our ashram we have one who has been gang raped. And the way she has come out of it is so beautiful, the transformation which has happened in her. So, sometimes you wonder that if it was not for that, this transformation would not have happened. It's not a good way of putting it. Supposing, just we go another way. Supposing I know that after 3 months I am going to die of cancer. Will my intensity towards consciousness increase or decrease? Maybe what I don't achieve in 20 years of life, I'll achieve in 3 months. Get what I'm saying? So, because of the suffering, we see things in a certain way only. The physical body has suffered, somebody has put a knife in the physical body, there has been pain, there has been rupture of organs, and all this is very difficult for us to assimilate. I'm not saying it's right. Now, each thought has intensity. I see this cup in a shop and I say, oh, I like it. But there's no intensity. I forgot. By the time I walk out of the shop, I've forgotten the cup also. There's just no intensity. But supposing I come home and this cup is going on in my mind. Right? There is intensity in it. Now, that intensity is power. You get it? So I don't know in certain states of intensity what I have said. That is why I'm not bringing past life and karma into this. Just a certain state of intensity. Now, we just take a young child. Say it is a girl child. And she sees another girl in the school. She may be in the 5th class or 6th class. They are innocent children. Right? But she sees another girl being surrounded by so many boys. And in that sudden intensity, she says, supposing I was surrounded by so many boys. She doesn't know what thought she has thrown in with what intensity. So we cannot see the reality behind all the events that are happening in life. We can only see the fact, accept the fact, and rise above it.
I just think it's so unfair that you throw out a thought with intensity and that you are subjected to that, because in your innocence you throw it out, but you are then made
not innocence, ignorance.
Ignorance. Then you are made responsible for it. And
that is why karma is a law. It is a law. If you have planted the seed, the tree, when it is given, the seed is given water, the tree will grow. The tree will grow. Now you want to be free of that law, the only way is to be aware. Only way is that I don't want to give water to this seed, and at one time I need enough of heat to burn the seed completely. And that heat, the suffering which has come, has actually come to burn the seed. We waste it in complaining and throwing it out. The seed remains there. It's going to again go into a cycle of growth.
How does one nullify a thought? How does one cancel a thought?
We'll come to that, because now we'll do this day after tomorrow, because tomorrow is we have to still go through the process which Radha went through. Anyway, the thought has happened in darkness, ignorance. Take light back. Take light back. This taking of light back is what Patanjali calls as pratiprasav. That in this moment you have light, but you have lived so many moments in darkness. Now take that lamp back. See, supposing I have a blockage in an artery, I go to a doctor and either he puts in something and he opens out the blockage, or he makes a bypass. Right? Can you see memory as a body in which there are so many lines of blood flowing through and they get blocked? Prana flowing through and they get blocked? And memory is blocked in so many places. Right? The physical body falls, but this body does not. It takes the experience of this physical body and adds it to that and moves on. And then it takes the experience again and adds it to that and moves on. And it is this body which has so many blockages inside it. And those blockages are the cause of suffering. And can we let memory flow? Make it flow? Like blood flows, like the doctor did that opening up of the artery and the blood started flowing. Can we make memory flow? This can be done. It's called the time body. We all have a time body. And that time body, there's free flow of prana in that. There should be. But things get blocked. And those blockages are the blockages in our essence. And the essence wants to be free of those blockages. Klesha Mula Karma Ashaya Drashta Adrashta Janma Vedaniya. The four kleshas, they are the seeds, they are the roots, which they grow in the field of ignorance, the field of unawareness, which is called avidya, absence of light. They grow in the field of avidya, and these four kleshas are what? Ego. This cup is mine. Ego. Mine and ours. Right? I and mine. Raga, attraction. Dvesha, repulsion. And abhinivesh, I want, this cup should be mine forever. Or I don't want to die forever. Right? These are the four seeds. So Patanjali is saying, Klesha Mula Karma Ashaya. Ashaya is the resting place, the library. As long as these seeds are there, the library is all there. There is no difference between the library and the seeds. There is no difference between the seed and the fruit. If the seed is there, the library is there. You get what he's trying to say? But he says, Drashta adrashta janma vedaniya. A part of the root is seen and the part of the root is unseen. If I'm getting angry on you, it is only a small part of the root if I'm observing that anger. 99% of the root is still lying in the subconscious mind. Drashta adrashta janma vedaniya. But that part which is lying in the unconscious, which cannot be seen, is also worth seeing. It is also worth seeing. So he's saying, as long as the seed exists, the library is going to be formed. The fruit is going to give out more seeds. And in this process, whatever you are seeing is only a small part of the reality. But that part which cannot be seen is also worth seeing. Sati mule tad vipake jati ayu bhoga. As long as the seed exists inside, that thought exists inside. Forget the seed, forget the subconscious mind. Just take it as a thought also, which is a very superficial way of taking it. But just take it, as long as the thought exists inside, the thought that I want to cheat him, the thought that I want to take revenge on him, the thought that she insulted me, I want to put her in her place. As long as the thought exists, sati mule, as long as the root is there, it is going to go into this process of fruition. Tad vipake. And he doesn't use the word pak, he doesn't vipake, vishesh rite. In vikrut rite, it is going to take fruit in a very gross way, in a very wrong way. And what is this meaning of fruition? Jati ayu bhoga. Jati means, if it is each seed will have a class. If it is a seed of wheat, only wheat will grow. If it is a seed of this, then this will grow. Every seed will have a class in it. Right? Ayu, it will have a lifespan. Once it comes out, then wheat takes 3 months or 4 months to harvest. So it has a lifespan, and you will have to bhoga, you will have to enjoy it or whatever. Bhogut or persage. English word is difficult to find over here. But you will have to go through it. You will have to pass through it. jati ayu bhoga. Sati mule tad vipake jati ayu bhoga. Te alad paritapa falaha punya apunya hetutvat. Alad, pralad, alad. Alad is happiness, joy. Happiness, joy. Te alad. Pralad, that is when joy extends. Pralad, that is why we worship Pralad. Holy day, Pralad. Te alad paritap. Tap is pain, suffering. Pari is a circumference, a pain which keeps on repeating. The pain which keeps. Te alad paritap phala. Phala means the outcome of that seed. Jati ayu bhoga. That seed, it went into its class, it had a lifespan, and you have to go through whatever is the fruits of that lifespan. Those fruits can be painful or not painful. Alad or parita. They can be painful or not painful. Punya apunya hetutva. At the time of sowing, what was the motive? What was the motive? Was the motive of punya or apunya? So Patanjali is saying, when you sowed the seed, what was the motive? That will lead to whether that seed, the bhoga, leads to suffering or happiness. What was the motive in sowing the? We don't know the motive. We don't know any motive. We don't even know why we walk out of the door. The motive is so deep within us. Hetu. I come and I donate 1,000 rupees to the school, but I enjoy it when my name is put there. The motive was different. I feel the motive was punya, but the motive was apunya. It increased my ego. I feel I'll help him with his exams, but there is a feeling inside that, oh, I helped him. Gone, the apunya. The motive was not to help him, the motive was to get appreciation. Motive is so difficult to see. A husband feels he's earning money for his family. And there is this psychiatrist called Sigmund Freud, the father of psychology, who says that no husband is earning money for his family, he's just earning money because he has suppressed sex desires in him. Right? So what is the motive? What is the motive? So Patanjali is saying that motive will lead to pain or suffering according to the motive at the time of sowing the seed. And then in this final, these are 4 sutras on karma in Patanjali. Parinam tap sanskar hai, dukh hai hi guna vritti virodhacha sarvam dukham vivekena. Parinam. Everything is changing. I may have happiness now, but after 5 minutes I have sadness. Everything is changing. Everything is in a flux. The body is aging. Everything is in a flux. Today my son is with me. Tomorrow he may not be with me. Everything is in a flux. Today I may have a good meal to eat. Tomorrow I don't have a good meal to eat. He says parinam. There is change all the time. There is continuous change. Heraclitus says you can't put your foot in the same water twice. The river has flown. You go to put it again, the water has gone ahead. It's not the same. That is why he says that nobody's experience can help anyone else. Revolutionary, Heraclitus. And so Patanjali is saying parinam. This change leaves a score. It leaves a residue. It leaves a kind of groove in the brain, in the chitta. It leaves a kind of furrow over there. And he calls that as sorry, I went one ahead. This change brings friction. I'm growing old, but I don't want to grow old. My son is growing old, but I don't want him to grow old. This change brings friction, inner struggle, and that struggle leaves a groove, it leaves a kind of line in the brain, in the chitta, and that he calls as sanskar, where again consciousness will flow on that line only. It will repeat, the same thing will repeat. Parinam tapa sanskar dukhe. He says, this is pain and only pain. Whether it was, he says, forget if the motive was of punya or apunya. He's saying everything is pain. Even if it was happiness, it is pain. We are talking about suffering and not suffering. He's saying even the not suffering is suffering only. Parinam tapa sanskar dukhe. He's put emphasis, hey, dukhe, guna vritti virodhatcha, sarvam dukha viveki. The one whose vivek has opened up, the one who has felt truth, the one who has had a glimpse of truth, whose vivek, inner consciousness has opened up, for him in this, all the three worlds, there is pain and only pain. That which we call happiness is also pain. Why? Because of guna vritti virodhacha. I wanted to go into three gunas today. It's too late now. Three gunas. You know how many screens there are inside of us? How many screens there are? I see you, that is, I see you on one screen of life. Right? So, that which is happening in front of the five senses is on one screen. But inside, either I have a feeling of friendship or enmity or feeling of being cheated or a feeling of this. This is happening on a totally different screen. You can see these two screens. These two screens. Do we see them all the time? We don't see them. We don't even know that there is one screen inside where so much is happening which we don't see. So much has happened since morning on that inner screen, but we don't know anything about it. We know on the outer screen, oh, I had cauliflower for lunch, or I had paneer for lunch. We know what happened on the outer screen. But what happened on the inner screen? When you were eating that cauliflower, what thoughts were passing through your mind? Forgotten. Gone. What was happening on that? This outer screen is called as Bhutakash. This inner screen is called as Chit Akash. And supposing the inner consciousness awakens, then which screen is that consciousness seeing? The inner consciousness, if it awakens, if the inner presence, just now you're sitting here, you're watching me, you're watching everything around, that is the Bhutakash, you're watching inside also the reactions to what is happening, but the watcher is sitting somewhere else. Where is he sitting? And that is called as Chid Akash. We are living in three movies at the same time. Chit Bhutakash, the five bhutas, Chit Akash, the reactions that are happening inside, and Chid Akash, the seer, the presence. And on that screen is a dance of the three gunas. And when you see reality, you only see these three gunas when you're looking at that Akash. In this you may say, oh, something so cruel has happened. But on that screen, all you can see is the play of tamas, rajas and sattva. Maybe tamas increased a little, so it translated into this event on this Bhuta Akash. That's all. And it becomes difficult because this is the fact and that is the reality. I lost a very big contract in my business because you did not come on time. That is my Bhuta Akash. But on the Chid Akash, tamas was a little more than rajas. I wanted the contract, but the obstacle which came was a little more. Your face is not there, my face is not there. Whose contract, what, it doesn't matter. It's just the play of these three gunas. No personalities. You get it? So, life is happening on 3 screens simultaneously. One is the sensual world of the senses, the second the psychological world of the mind, and third beyond it, where the cause of cause is. And if you can see that screen, where you know it is only a play of the gunas, everything is a play of the gunas. So he's saying, when that awakening comes, when you can see that inner screen, everything in life is only painful. Why is it painful? Why is it painful? Can someone tell me why is it painful? He's saying, Guna Vritti Virodhat Cha Sarvam Dukham Vivekina. Because of the fight of the gunas, for the one who has awakened, everything is pain and only pain. Sarvam Dukham Vivekina. Why? Why? Because for the very game of life, for the very game of cricket, there must be a batsman and a bowler. And what is the law? For the game to be played, the bowler has to be against the batsman. He can't be with the batsman. There must be a fight, even though it is a lovely fight. But there still has to be a fight between the bowler and the batsman. He's saying, for everything to happen in this world, tamas has to be against rajas. They can't both be on the same side. In the basic cause of this universe, there is violence. At the basic root of this universe, one guna, unless it fights with the other, there can be no manifestation in this universe. Unless one force fights with the other force, it cannot, nothing, there will be no creation in this universe. For the very act of creation, there must be violence. One has to be against the other. For this leela, for this play, and the one who has seen that, he knows that if in the seed there is violence, how can I expect happiness over here? It's not possible. That is when that truth is seen inside, that presence. Then it is a game, but you know in the game there is moments of joy, events happen. Some events are cruel, some events are happy, but events are events. And there is a law that the events are lying somewhere. Why this event came to meet this person? There is a law. Nothing happens outside of the law. Why did cancer come to meet me? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe 20 years ago I gave you some words which went around in the universe, came back to me with all their friends, and I got cancer. I don't know. There are no straight lines in the universe. I say something to you today, it's going to come back to me because there are no straight lines. The biggest imagination is a straight line, that I can draw a straight line from here to here. Nothing like a straight line. What goes comes back. Klesha mool, that root, karma ashaya. This is it. And there are 4 laws of karma. The law of accident, the law of cause and effect, the law of fate, and the law of destiny. There are 4 different laws of karma. We'll have a look at them as we go in these days. Which law are we in? Which law are we in? You see this girl in our ashram. She must be about 40 now. When she was young, she was gang raped. So at that time of the rape, it is an accident. It is definitely an accident. It is an accident. Today, she has turned that into the law of cause and effect. She has used that as a positive cause for a different effect. It is no longer an accident in her life. When it happened, it is an accident. But she has taken life back and turned that accident into a different law. She has risen in the law of karma. But if she was still complaining about it, she was still bitter about it, still horrified with it, if she had not used that to move ahead, then that same kind of suffering she is going to invite in some other form. That is the law. That is the law. It is the law of repetition. The seed is sown, it becomes the fruit gives seed, and the seed is sown again. That is the law. The only way to be free of this law is to rise in awareness. Change the effect into a cause for something new. I don't know where we started out and where we reached. I hope we reached somewhere. We don't know where we are going, we always reach where we want to go. Yeah, please.
Are you saying we shouldn't complain? And that the very act of complaining brings back the same thing to you?
We are sowing a seed of complaining.
Okay, can I ask something?
Yeah, please.
You mentioned earlier that the ego develops when the child is between 3 and 4 years old. So to prevent the cycle of events happening and this kind of unfolding to happen, is there another way we can raise our children from a young age to be more aware? Or is this the pattern of life that you experience and then reflect and transform?
Yeah, you're going to give the answer also.
Okay. Because that is the way I understand it.
Yes.
People have difficulty.
I'm going to talk this time about essence and personality.
Okay.
And the essence to grow needs a personality. It cannot grow without life. And to face life, I need a personality. It is this personality which takes the the experiences of life and gives it to the essence to grow. The only problem is now it takes the events of life, the experiences of life, and gives it to the ego. Right? But unless there is a personality, so there's no point in putting the children in an alternative school or bringing them up in a way in which there is no ego. That's not going to work. The ego has to be formed and it has to dissolve also.
That is quite fascinating.
Yeah. So by letting the children grow up in the jungle, nothing is going to happen. They may become Tarzan, I don't know.
Even that may not work.
Rajendra, can we have you with every moment of our time and every experience so you can guide us? What you should do, what you should
I can only throw seeds. The beauty is that usually we throw seeds on dry land. I'm so happy here that I'm able to throw seeds where something can grow. It's great joy, great joy. Because usually wherever we go, it's just, you throw seeds, very rarely some places the seeds sprout. But here to see such a big group who's really interested in these ideas, for me it's shocking. So, Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja, Raj is pollen. I can only throw the seeds of my Guru, the pollen of my Guru, and hope something grows over there.
It's your magnetic personality.
Let's just divide yourself.
Yeah.
I have a question from yesterday, actually. We were talking about the observer. The observed and the observer. Now, when you are looking, or when you observe, when you think, how does one know that the observer is the real observer, or whether that observer that you think is an observer is just a figment of your creation?
Doesn't matter. Does not matter. Does not matter. The very act of looking involves attention. The act of looking. Everything else is of the mind. The act of looking is not of the mind. Even when I'm looking at you, the attention is coming from some other source. It is flowing through the mind. It may flow through all the conditioning of the mind, but still that attention is coming from some other source. So the very act, the moment I am looking and not thinking, we are thinking all the time. But the moment I am looking, I am in a different state. It is always the observing eye. Always the observing eye. Because the very act of looking ensures this. But the act of thinking does not ensure it.
I think earlier you said for every event we can only see 1/9 of the real cause. Can we ever get to a position where we can see the full 9/9 or?
That is what I say, you get to a position where you feel the 9. That is why I talked about Vivek today, where there is a feeling of truth. You may not see the truth as yet, but there is a feeling of truth. And that feeling touches you. Touches you. And you know life can never be wrong. Whatever happens, happens according to law. You sympathize with the person. It's not that you're dead inside. You may be more alive than somebody else also. So you really feel pain, because when you're sympathizing, you're feeling his or her pain. There is a sympathy. The vibrations are mixing with each other. They're vibrating at the same level. But at one level you know that it's a feeling of truth. You can't change that. And that is why truth comes with its own suffering, because you have to suffer this. And you know the only way to change is rise in awareness. If you take a broom and start sweeping all the events of life, you'll never be able to sweep them away. I don't want pain, I don't want pain. You keep on sweeping every day, nothing is going to happen. But if you make pain a friend, then she stops. You have a relationship with pain. Pain is tamas. Tamas. Make her a friend. Play the cricket match. And enjoy the game. But you will feel truth. The whole effort is for that. Sometimes it's only when I come to places like this that I feel that the effort, there is something it's worth doing. Even though I'll keep on doing it. But there's that. Sometimes I feel I should just stay on my farm and that's it. It's impossible to find so many people who are interested. It's impossible.
Can I ask you one more question?
Yeah.
You know, the subject that we dealt with today, it's purely at the Gnan level, right? We reasoning, we thinking about what we're doing and what we should or shouldn't be doing and all that. We are thinking with the mind. And there is a solution that you have portrayed about how to deal with it. There is also the issue, and I don't want to, and because of this confusion, I am asking the question. There is also the side of the bhakti. How would one reconcile these issues that we talk about, or the facts that we confront, that we are confronted with in our daily lives, with bhakti? How would one deal with it in that field?
First of all ideas which we have of bhakti we have to drop. There was this guy 2,500 years ago. And he sowed the seeds which ruined everything for bhakti. And his name was Aristotle. And at the time of Aristotle, human civilization, they took a certain path, following the precepts of Aristotle, logic and inductive logic and deductive logic, and the ways of working of the mind. For 800 years in India, there was a bhakti movement, a bhakti period, where we had the bhakti saints. And that was at a time of the development of the human brain, which has changed now. Bhakti did not originate in India, it came with the Sufis. The Sufis were the first people to see God as the beloved and to this movement of merging into the beloved, Radha Krishna. It is they who brought this movement into India. And this 800 years, mainly in the time of Akbar, where all the bhakti saints were at their peak. Today's brain cannot do bhakti in that sense. It's changed. In the last 50 years, the brain has changed so much that what it has not changed in the last 5,000 years. I'm not talking about the neurons, but I'm talking about the amount of knowledge which the brain can absorb. The brain has changed completely. Now, if it wants to do bhakti, first it will read everything about bhakti. It cannot do that kind of bhakti. It's not possible. Somebody asked me, I remember going once for a camp, there was this great Jain saint, and she's asking me, okay, whether my path is of bhakti or whether my path is of yoga. I said, madam, because you asked me, it's definitely not bhakti. Forget it. This is the age of blending. It is the way of life. In life, I relate to you through bhakti. Each relationship now becomes a bhakti. The father to the son, the wife to the husband can be related through bhakti. Now, there is no bhakti of a certain God. Within each relationship, the God is there. That is why I'm going to say that Krishna took the Gada. Gada means Gadya, to speak. Even though in the serials we see the Gada, they hit with a Gada. They don't hit anyone. With words, Gadya, to speak. So in all our relationships there is bhakti. In all our knowing there is jnana. And in all the in all our actions, the outcome of our actions is karma. It is a blending of all the parts. And this blending we will call as yoga. So no one can say, okay, today I walk only on the path of bhakti or I walk only on the path of jnana. Jnana is, you have to blend all the paths together, because in your normal life, in your relationships, there is bhakti, in your actions there is karma, and in your knowledge there is jnana. And this is the new path of today. And if you just follow one path, it will lead to imbalance, because today's brain is going to follow all three simultaneously. The brain can no longer, it's not the same brain which was in the bhakti saints. We think, they visualize. You get what I'm trying to say? Now we'll take one example. Mirabai. She did not have that physical meeting with Krishna. There was no physical meeting. Radha had a physical meeting. Radhe Govind, what we talked about, was the physical union with Krishna, where she met Krishna in Gokul and Vrindavan, and they had this Ras Leela and whatever. Mirabai directly experienced Virha, where Krishna went to Mathura and Radha was in a state of separation, Virha. So that was after that state of meeting. First came the Shrungar, then came the Virha. Whilst in Mirabai's case, first came the Virha, whether it was Surdas, Mirabai or Narsi, first came the state of Virha. They went through this state of Virha, but when they wrote their bhajans, it looked as if it was Shrungar. Can you see the beauty in this? When they wrote their bhajans, when Narsi is writing his bhajans, he's saying, Vraj valu re hu Vaikunt nahi aau. He's talking about a certain thing which is happening at a physical level. As if Krishna is there and he's become Radha. So, then they went back. After they achieved the truth, they went back. And they visualized, consciously visualized Vrindavan again. And they played the game and they wrote about it in their bhajans. Today's mind cannot do that because today's mind thinks, it does not visualize. You get what I'm trying to say? Those days the mind didn't think, it visualized. It was a different mind which went into bhakti. That mind no longer exists. We think about bhakti. They never thought about bhakti. Even your question today, you get what? So today bhakti has to take the form of today. It has to work for today's time. So when I relate to her, can I see the divine in her? If I can see it, it is bhakti. And if I am making an effort to see it, it is karma. And the knowledge which leads me to this is jnana. Am I coming across? I don't know. You see? In every action of our lives, not something isolated with a statue or something. In every action of our lives. Every moment of our lives. And this is the blending of all the paths. The new man, he's going to be not a follower of one path or one religion. He'll be a blending of everything. Something totally new. New consciousness. We call it the way of life. The way of life.
So Rajan, let's just go back to our talk earlier. For example, we talked about the acceptance of the fact. Can one then say that I'm accepting this fact? And without going into the analysis of the fact, from the Jnana point of view, we could say, Lord, I accept this fact, and leave it at that. Can one do that? Is that a form of analyzing and rising above, or not, or isn't it?
Just see that it is softness, not obstinacy.
Yes.
Doesn't the ego stand in the way?
It shouldn't become obstinacy. See, there's one sutra of Patanjali. Ahimsa pratisthayam vairatyaga. For ahimsa, non-violence to be pratishthit, established. The establishment of non-violence, there is no enmity. Vairatyaga. But now you can take this as an effort. Vairatyaga. Supposing you have taken this away from me, right? So there is attachment to this in me. So at the level of Gyan, I accept the fact. But even with the Gyan, the acceptance of the fact, the heart keeps on saying, okay, he cheated me. He cheated me. You get what I'm trying to say? There is acceptance. Again, the acceptance comes at the level of Gyan, the acceptance, but the fact is that he took it. But again, from the heart it comes that he cheated me. And this is going to happen to everyone. Right? So now it needs for me to practice karma yoga over here. The karma yoga is Vaira Tyag. The minute this thought comes, okay, he cheated me, I Tyag. Again the thought comes, it will take a long time, it may take 6 months, it may take a year. But at one point the thought will stop coming. At one point the thought will stop coming. And something new will happen inside. Right? But I have to keep on renouncing that thought, Tyag, renouncing that thought. And this is a continuous process. You see? Because the minute I remember this, I'll have a revenge with you. An inner feeling of revenge with you. Tyag. Again feeling of revenge with you. Again Tyag. And I keep on practicing this. And at one point, I'm free of it. And in that freedom of it, a different knowledge will come. A different knowledge will come that it was never mine in the first place. I was under this hypnosis that I owned it. Whether you have it or I have it. And that will be, I see the divine in you, I see the divine, it's bhakti. It has flowered into bhakti. My actions are flowered. So then we are living all at the same time. And each will be at its own level. At this level, I had the Gyan that I have to make an effort to be free of this. Why? Because if I keep a seed of revenge, it is going to lead to something in the future. Just the very holding of it, it may be, you may have totally fooled me. Doesn't make any difference. The very feeling of revenge is going to lead to something in the future. That very holding of the thought of revenge is going to give me blood pressure tomorrow. You get it? So I can't reconcile just like this, okay, he's taken it, the fact, and that's the end of it. Then I'm a dead person. Right? But you've taken it, and I reconcile to it, but again the thought comes. Again I renounce the thought. Again the thought comes. And this is a continuous process. And this is called conscious effort to increase consciousness. Right? And there will be a struggle inside. It's not something which will happen overnight. There will be a deep struggle inside. This struggle is called tapa. It's the fire of tapa. There will be a feeling that you have taken it. I am not devoid of feeling. No? We've overstepped all our limits today. Okay. Tomorrow is the youth workshop. So I think we are meeting day after tomorrow. Thank you. Jai Shri Krishna. Good night.